Lights, camera, debate, ignite, passion strong under the spotlight. Tune in for the clash, tune in for the spark. The critic and the cynic light up the dark.
Welcome back to The Critic and the Cynic. The first film that's coming out that we're going to be taking a look at here in a little bit is a Hallmark film called 'Tis the Season to Be Irish.
I thought that was St. Patrick's Day.
Well, you know, last week we looked at a movie that felt a lot like Valentine's Day, so sometimes they just like to take the holidays and cram them all into one because everybody likes Christmas, but maybe not everybody likes St. Patrick's Day. Let's take a look. See here. Let's take a look at the poster. Very simple stuff. Very. I was gonna say very simple stuff, but you're like, oh, that's bad.
It looks like one of those animations that you used to do when we were little, and like you'd put your face on an elf and like Christmas card.
Oh, what was that called? The dancing greeting cards that you put your head on.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Because that is some really bad Photoshop.
Yeah, you know what I was going to say is like in the back of my head, I have this voice. This guy's voice, who I guess in my back of my head it's not an Irish accent, but why not? Let's have it be an Irish accent. And I'm thinking he's got this look on his face that to me screams, I got her now. She can't get away from me, because he's like behind her and he's got like this backward hug, and he's like, she has a fake smile on, all the while like everything's okay. What do you think?
I think he just farted.
The Irish guy?
Yeah. He has the look on his face. Like he just farted and she's supposed to be smiling and she's like, oh god damn it.
Well, I mean, sure. Alright, let's quickly go over the tagline of the film, which says, Old Cottage, New Love. Old Cottage, New Love. That is not a play on words, is it? Usually it is.
I don't know what that is.
There's probably... obviously the movie has something to do with the cottage. And in the cottage, there's some new love, as in the new relationship? I don't know. That seems stupid. Let's read the premise here. A house flipper heads to Ireland to renovate and sell a cottage, but her plans change when she meets a local realtor determined to preserve his town's heritage. What does that mean?
I don't know, but it sounds so boring.
So we have an Irish guy with a stick up his butt. Oh, and he's like, you're in my town now, and you're after me Lucky Charms. And she's like, yeah, I just want to flip a house, because she's a realtor. No, he's a realtor. She's a flipper. Sometimes I think they're the same thing, but they're not. The flipper is usually the person who buys it, isn't it?
Yeah, they buy it low, they fix it up, and then they sell it higher.
Okay, so she's going there, and she's meeting with him so that he can sell her the cottage, and then she's gonna flip it, but he's like, nah, don't do that.
Well, she might be taking like a historical looking.
It's probably more than a historical looking. You're talking about Ireland.
But she's probably gonna try to make it all modern and sleek and
have a nice, parking spot, and I don't know what flippers do. They do a lot of different stuff. I don't know why a lot of these movies center around realty.
There's only been 2.
That's more than enough. Realty does not scream Christmas. It's just weird. However, it has the potential to have a Yule log, I would say. Because it is a cottage.
Yeah, I think you're reaching.
I am reaching a little bit. Fiona Gubelman, don't know ya. Eowyn Mackin, don't know ya. Once again, a bunch of people that I don't know. So it could be either here nor there. The rating that Tracked.tv gives it is 66% based off of 36 votes. So it's actually quite a few people that actually tuned in. Based off of what we've seen in the past, it hasn't usually been that many votes, but...
Well, probably more people are going to tune in the closer we get to Christmas, because
yeah,
when it's October, early November, I mean, you only really have the diehard Christmas fans at that point.
yeah. So I don't know, this could be stupid.
I don't think it's going to be stupid. I just think it's going to be really boring.
It could be, yeah, it could be one of those things where it's just taking an easy route, but overall is just nonsensical to the point where there's no point to watch it.
2 hours later.
And we called it super boring.
Definitely boring. It's not the greatest film that we've seen in this experience. I would wager, though, saying it's not the worst either. It's middle. I think it's mid-range. The thing that saves it, in my opinion, this is one of my positives and probably my biggest positive of the film, is the setting of Ireland. They filmed it in Ireland. They didn't just do like a weird back studio with weird backgrounds trying to claim it was Ireland. It was very clearly Ireland, which just the part of the movie alone that's like a screensaver is great.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the setting. I mean, Ireland's cool. That's all fine and dandy.
It's beautiful. Another positive I have to say about the film is that when it comes down to messages, I feel like it did have a very clear and consistent message in terms of accepting change, embracing change in order to, move on with your life in whatever way that relates to you. There's a few different characters, 3 or 4 different characters, all of which have to go through this change in order to embrace their future.
Yeah, that is true.
But the story left a little bit lacking for me. Remember, this is the story about a house flipper that buys a house from a realtor in Ireland in order to flip a cottage, and it just turns out to be a money pit situation where the cottage that she gets is a piece of junk, and so it's a lot harder than she ever imagined it would be to fix it.
Okay, but let's be honest for a second. Would you move to Ireland even if you had to live in a piece of junk cottage?
Yep.
Me too.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I mean, and she
hard,
acts like
yeah.
it's the worst thing in the world, and I'm just like, not really.
I don't care that you got a couple blankets on top of your cottage to make it look like junk. Take off those blankets, it already looks half better.
Well, no, I think the blankets were there because there was like holes in them.
Well, I'm sure it was trying to convince you that there was holes, but I'm like, there's not holes. However, there's this whole thing that we're trying to buy, or they're trying to sell it to you, that this tiny little girl is going to
completely
renovate this on her own in the middle of Ireland. And there's nothing about this that I buy, and it's not a sexist thing. I do believe that women are absolutely capable of doing it. But when you see her on screen, you notice that she's tiny, she's little, and she's not rough around the edges.
No, I would buy her more as a realtor,
yes,
and the guy more as I'm gonna flip the house.
Yeah,
they should have.
That would work. That would have worked a little bit better. But unfortunately, the guy is one of these characters. I feel like he's like a comedic relief type of character, but he's literally doing nothing throughout the movie. And the problem with that is I had a lot of issues trying to believe chemistry between them, because he's not doing anything. He believes in the history and the legacy of Ireland freaking cottages, which whatever that means, but as a character with charisma or chemistry with this woman, I just didn't buy it.
No, I didn't care about either one of them, and I am a type of person that gets very invested in characters, and I will cry when they have happy moments, I will cry when they have sad moments, I'll cry about pretty much anything, but no tears. Not even a little bit of a watering. Nothing, no misting.
Nope. I looked at you and I said, the only storyline or character that I'm invested in is the main character's best friend back home, who's just pregnant. There's a pregnant lady. It's not part of the story at all.
Nope, she shows
Not at all.
up for like 2 seconds in the beginning and 2 seconds towards the end.
Yep, that's it. But she looks like she's ready to pop, and I'm like, girl, you best get to the hospital right now. I'm waiting for a different movie apparently, because the one that we're watching right now it just leaves a lot to be desired. It's boring. It's beautiful, but it's boring. There's some good messages in there.
But it's boring.
And we just kind of keep coming back to this fact that it's boring. And I feel like I felt when we watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, in which we're watching, I'm like, well, they finally went to Greece, and it's beautiful, and it's a screensaver movie, but there's nothing happening, and nobody cares about anything, and it's just, why are we watching it? Because we get to see the Irish landscape, which is great, but that's all you can really say about it. So the positives, like I said, the screensaver visuals, which, I mean, it's a little bit of an insult to call them screensaver visuals, but at the same time, it is beautiful. And 2, the message of embracing change and things of the nature. What would you say number 3 is? The sheep that follows her around?
No, actually, I was going to go completely different route, because the moment where we paused it and got the most excited is when they had a little bit of an Easter egg for a movie we've already seen.
Yes.
And so we're like, oh, okay, so they're just creating this whole Hallmark universe.
Yes. So somewhere in the middle of the movie, they were just kind of scanning through, it looked like Netflix, but it was probably Hallmark Plus or something. And they're reading off a description for a movie. The title was different, but the description was the same. They said something about a couple meet on a train, they fall in love, they lose each other, until they realize that they are, rivals at a job, which we just saw last week with our holiday story. So, and the reason why I believe they picked that as the Easter egg is because the screenwriter of this movie was also the same writer for our holiday story. She didn't create the story for this movie, but she did adapt it into a screenplay. So whenever you have that kind of power, it's easy to just shoehorn in your own Easter eggs to make people smile a little bit, I guess, if they even saw that movie. We did, because we're watching everything.
Well, and if they remember or catch it, because it was like a blip and it's gone, like he reads a little line and we're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, a blip and it's gone. So let's go ahead and rate it. We didn't give it any buttons, so it's safe, but what was your rating?
50. I just don't care about it at all.
50. Yeah, 50's pretty good. I'm gonna go 45.
Oh, so it's worse than just never gonna think about it again?
Look, the nice thing that I can say about it is that it's better than My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. I thought that was garbage on a hill because there was no plot whatsoever. They missed the whole fact that was called My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and the entire family, or at least half of it, was gone. There was no story, there was no wedding. There was almost no point to watch it. There is a plot here. It is fixing up the cottage, okay? There's a reason that you're watching it. You're actually trying to see what happens here. So, logistically, it's better than that movie. But it's still not a great movie. It's still boring. And it still has all these issues. So, I'm going with 45 and you're going with 50.
I don't know. I still make the argument that it's middle of the road, because I'm never going to think about it again, ever, good or bad. But if I go lower than 50, I'm probably going to think about it again. Like, oh yeah, you remember that really horrible movie? But I'm just never going to think about this one ever again.
Yeah, it's not going to come up. If anything, you're going to remember that Hallmark movie that literally took place in Ireland. But that's it. That's all you got. That's because it's a gimmick. And it reveled in the gimmick, and there you go. So, 45, 50%, that's what we're giving it. But that means that we're going on to the next film on the list of 6 films that we're looking at. And the second movie is called